recording for today. Just in the way of brief announcements. I know that many of you have probably already read this via email, but I did decide after some reflection on exam 1 to offer extra credit in the form of writing. I recognize that multiple choice, true, false answers, questions can sometimes be confusing just in terms of the verbiage. And so there is an opportunity for you to earn some points back on exam 1 if you choose. You can refer to the email for more specifics, but just be aware that the deadline for submitting that work is a hard and fast midnight on Saturday, the 19th. I will not accept anything that comes in after that. So if you want the points back, make sure you get it in by midnight on Saturday. And as I said in my email, you can choose to answer 1, 2, or 3 of those questions, depending on
the last 3 minutes.
How you did and what you feel you need to earn back on exam 1. If everyone can check their mute really quick, I'm getting a little bit of feedback from someone. Any questions or concerns regarding the first test? Okay.
I don't know if I saw it when it, like, the test was due, but is there any way that you could make it come up on, like, as you learn, like, on the side? I don't know if it did, I can't remember. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, when it an assignment's due for some classes, it comes up on the side, like, for the schedule.
Yeah. I mean, retroactive to this exam, I don't believe I can do that, but I can look into the trouble with that, I think, is that I only had it open for that one day, and so that may be why it didn't show as an upcoming event or whatever. But I'll look into that for next time. And if you need to get with me, go ahead.
Sorry, once you opened it, it showed up like on upcoming exams that day.
Yeah.
But if you didn't check that day, you wouldn't have seen it.
Right. Yeah. Although I mean, I would argue that there was lots of notice given in our class discussions as well as on the course page that it was coming up due. But yeah, I think it has to do with the fact that I had it not available except for that one 24-hour period. So if people perhaps missed exam 1 and need to get with me, we can discuss that privately after class. Just send me an email and we'll figure out how to move forward. Any other questions? Kinsley, did you have a question?
No, sorry, I was just hopping on.
No problem. All right, so the plan for today, if everyone can access the course page, there is a shared Google Doc. I want to make sure that we can all use it. So it's under week 6. It's called Group Work Mock Test. If you will all try to open that, and the point is that we're going to work in this as a shared document to create test questions, content questions around these different categories. Can someone let me know if they can access and edit in that document with a thumbs up or a verbal confirmation?
It says I have to ask the owner to be an editor, but I can see it.
Okay. Let me see. On my end, I think it says that anyone with the link can edit?
It just says view only.
Okay, let me, editors can change permissions. Sorry, guys. I'm trying something slightly new. Anyone in this group with the link can view.
Easier if we just all requested access and could just do it like that.
Try it now.
It works.
Okay, perfect. Whew. Thank you for the suggestion. And yeah, all right. So the plan then is I'm going to create breakout rooms that follow along with the headings that you see listed here. So we're going to have a total of 7, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you'll make a note, group 1 is going to be sociological factors, inmate selection. Group 2, psychological. Group 3, cultural. Why don't we do that on the document as well? So that you'll know when you end up in breakout room number 4, you're going to be talking about online opportunities for selecting a partner, right? And then the goal is, let's have each group to create 5 test questions. They can be short answer, multiple choice, true, false, or matching, however you think the content would be best looked at and understood. And so you'll just go through your section in the chapter. You can use the PowerPoint that's available as kind of a support. But I want you to develop 5 test questions. And so each group is going to need someone to type these questions into the shared doc. And we'll use this document when we come back together to go through these questions. So someone else in the group needs to record answers on a separate document. And then if you could decide on one person to kind of share out with the group when we'll use the chat feature to answer the questions. And then we'll just need somebody to help us clarify any answers that maybe don't come out of our group discussion. Does this all make sense? Okay.
So do the questions go on the document, the mock document, mock test? Okay.
Yes. So the shared doc that we can all access is just going to have questions, 5 each from every group related to your specific content, and then record your answers in a separate place so that we can use that document as kind of a mock test when we come back together. All right. I'm making the rooms now. Are there any other questions? All right. Rooms are open. I will hop around and check in with you. Make sure that you've got what you need while you're in there. All right, I think we are all back together. And before we get into this, because I want to make sure that I have time to say this before we get too rushed at the end, I do just want to take a minute and touch base about the asynchronous work for this week. So there is a video posted. I only want you, and I've made a note on the course page, I only want you to watch until about the 5-minute mark. So it's a lecture from another professor, and he's introducing the idea of mate copying. Mate copying is a phenomenon that was originally observed in primates and other animals. And it's basically this idea that seeing another partner mate with someone else is a component of what makes mates attractive to the other individual. So I want you to get familiar with that theory, that idea. The video will introduce you to the topic, and then there's an article to read. It's posted underneath the video. And then to go along with that, there are some discussion questions that are posted as an assignment. I think it's 4 guiding questions to kind of help you think through and analyze the material that you read in the article. So that is what you need to work on before we come back together. And you can let me know if you have any questions on that, but everything should be pretty straightforward on the course page. And with that, we will get into, in the large group format, today's content on partner selection. I'm gonna just go through the questions that we came up with. And so the first group was looking at sociological factors related to mate selection. If you will use the chat feature to give us your answer to their questions, and then if there's discrepancy, we'll have the person who was responsible for the answer key to help clarify for us, okay? So question number 1, which of the following describes homogamy? Is it the idea that opposites attract? Does it describe a couple with different religious views, couples with the same patterns, or similar characteristics? If you'll just, anyone and everyone, use the chat feature to type in your answer to that first question. What is homogamy? Answers coming in unanimously. D, similar characteristics. You got it. True or false? Couples with similar educational backgrounds are more likely to be successful. True, largely. And everyone is saying true. Matchmakers found that what was the most important factor in mate selection? Is it education, financial success, physical attractiveness, or geographic background? Would the person from group 1 with the answer to that question be willing to share quickly the answer and why?
Yeah, so it's physical attractiveness. We were looking at that in the book. I'm not sure exactly which section or area, but it was talking about how matchmakers make that like one of their priority factors when matching people.
Got it. I believe it's on page 95. In that section. Number 4, true or false, a never married person is most likely to choose to date another never married. Do we think that's true or false? True, based on the principles of homogamy. Group 1, correct us if we're wrong. And then true or false, religion influences partner selection. Also true. So largely we see when we're thinking about mate selection, that like selects like. We tend to be attracted to people who share our similar values, viewpoints, even physical characteristics and life experiences.
I'm taking a mental health day.
All right, moving on to thinking about psychological factors. The first question is, what is the complementary needs theory? Can someone summarize that in the chat or out loud? Yes, so it's somewhat of a conflicting idea to what we just talked about, that Sometimes we select mates who are opposite to us, yet complementary in some way. So, you know, if I'm pretty high strung and nervous, agitated, excited, I might select a partner who is more calm in temperament, because that helps to sort of balance out my anxiety levels. That's just a off the top of my head example of that concept. Exchange theory, selecting a partner who offers the greatest blank at the lowest blank. The greatest benefit or reward at the lowest risk or cost. We talked about this concept very early on in the theoretical frameworks. We talked about social exchange theory. It's the same idea here, just specifically related to partner relationship, but we're going to select people who offer us the greatest benefit at the lowest cost or risk to us. Number 3, true or false in the chat, females are attracted to bad boys. It's sad but true, sad but true. There's a phenomenon called the dark triad personality. On page 99, you can read more about that, but it's basically these interrelated ideas, narcissism, Machiavellianism, lack of empathy, for whatever reason, and they outline the phenomena, but those characteristics tend to be attractive to some females. Number 4, give examples of what physiological factors in mate selection are. Physiological factors. Would you, from group 2, be willing to call out a couple of those to us?
Yeah, so we had things like mental health, religion, intelligence, sociability, attractiveness, profession, financial status, things like that.
Are those physiological or psychological?
I think those are actually psychological. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I think the term would be psychological. Those are all examples of psychological factors that we consider in mate selection theory. I'm just gonna and then the last question is, what theory focuses on the drive toward an intimate emotional connection? So we've talked about this before in terms of love relationships. This is attachment theory, correct? Group 2. Attachment theory is the theory that focuses on emotional intimacy and emotional drive towards connection with another person. All right, group number 3 was looking at cultural factors. Number 1, selecting a partner within one's own social group is considered A, exogamy, B, androgyny, C, endogamy, or D, sociogamy. Use the chat, please. The answer is C, endogamy. I believe it's C. Yes. And that is partnering with someone from one's own social group. The idea there is called endogamy. Sociobiology is pressure to marry outside of the group. True or false? False. Sociobiology is actually an idea that men and women select one another as mates on the basis of concern for reproduction and survival. That's the concept of sociobiology is related to kind of evolutionary mechanisms of mate selection. And so number 3, that would be B, correct? Number 4, they say what the pool of eligibles is the population from which one picks a marriage partner. Is that true or false? Pool of eligibles is exactly what it sounds like. It's the population from which one would select a mate. Yes. Marriage partner, mate. And then number 5, which of the following populations revealed the continuum of arranged marriages? Is that the British Indian London Society? The text points out that there are still several societies that utilize arranged marriages, and then this continuum just describes kind of like the process and different varieties of arranged marriages in this culture. All right, group 4 was looking at online opportunities. Which of the following is listed as a disadvantage of online opportunities for partner selection? Is it meeting new people, catfishing, the fact that it's unsafe, or the fact that you might be stood up? A disadvantage. Would you all be willing to share your answer with us for the sake of time?
It's B.
B. And that is because catfishing can lead you to engaging with someone who is not being upfront about their personality or their physical appearance or something along those lines, correct?
Correct.
Speed dating, the 8-minute date. That's an online kind of mechanism for matching with another person. True or false, when someone is ghosted, it is a mutual agreement between both people to stop talking. Clearly false. When you get ghosted, it is not something that you've signed up for, right? True or false, catfishing is creating fake social media with stolen photos. That is true per what we just discussed. And then number 5, which theory talks about narrowing down your pool of potential partners? Is that the filter theory?
Yes, it is the filter theory.
Yes. Okay. True or false, meeting the parents is a step towards a committed relationship? That's true. Traditionally, we see that as kind of a getting serious, a sign of getting serious. Prenuptial agreement to protect assets for children. What's your take on that from this group 4? I'm sorry, 5. Is the prenup intended to protect assets for children from a previous relationship?
That's what I'm trying to say.
It can be. That is one of the primary reasons. There might be other reasons, but that's certainly one of them. Help us answer this question from group 5. What is the importance of having the talk? What does the text tell us about that?
It says both parties are able to reveal their feelings for each other and their commitment to the future.
And that's in relation to moving forward to the next step in the relationship, correct?
Yes.
The talk. Are we doing this or not? A prenup is not required to get married, so that one is false. It's just a good idea, especially if there are assets that need protecting for one or more parties in the relationship. And then the benefits of premarital counseling, I'm just going to gloss over that one because one of your written reflections, which by the way are coming up due in 2 weeks, I think, is focused completely around that. So you should already have lots of ideas on that one. What's the minimum number of years suggested before entering a marriage? Group 6, will you tell us that?
It said 3.
3. Do not do it unless you've been in it for at least 3 years. True or false? Teen marriages are encouraged and generally long lasting. False, right? We've talked before, but the delay of age of marriage actually has implications for positive outcomes for the relationship. And so anything that serves to delay the marriage tends to have better outcomes for the relationship. Would group 6 be willing to share what the definition of an abusive relationship is?
We said it was a relationship that negatively impacts someone in a physical or mental way.
Physical, mental, or emotional. I would add that because there are relationships that include emotional abuse. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about abuse later on in the course. True or false, on again, off again relationships are a negative factor that can lead to unsuccessful marriages. That is true, correct? Is that true?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah. And it just speaks to kind of the stability of the relationship or the instability of the relationship. When finding a partner, you should choose one who is similar or different to yourself. Similar, right? We talked about that at the beginning, unless of course there are those sort of complementary needs that might occur. What is a rebound marriage? Will you guys define that for us, group 7?
It's when you marry someone immediately after another person has ended a relationship with you.
Yeah, there's not enough time in between a previous relationship for this one to be viable, necessarily viable. What is it called when someone marries to get out of a bad situation with a previous partner? Escape. Is that an escape marriage? Yes. And these are all coming from like page 110, 111. Getting married because the partner is pregnant. Is that an unplanned pregnancy relationship? And then partner resorts to threats in the hope of getting what they want. I believe that term is psychological blackmail, correct? And one final question, use the chat for a true false. Pressure from society or parents can urge a person to get married. We've talked about this idea leading up to this. That's true because we see singleism as kind of an overarching stereotype in our society. But there's a lot of societal pressure to be married and to be married by a certain age. Otherwise, people sort of look at you as like maybe doing it wrong, you know, in terms of life. We tend to think that life satisfaction is related to marital relationships and marital satisfaction. All right, hopefully that helped you unpack and digest the content on partner selection, mate selection processes, and make sure that you read into the mate copying phenomena and do those discussion questions for the Wednesday meeting. Okay. Thank you so much for your time.